So good morning. Unlike the last class, there were some difficulties in connecting with you. I hope I'm audible now. Yes, is I'm audible? Okay, thank you. So last class we were discussing about just recall those slides again. Okay, the classification of this construction work based on the amount involved in it, based on the lifespan of that particular project, based on whether we are doing a new work or the repair work, and based on where it is being applied, light, heavy, and industrial. The light, here as far as light is considered, residential buildings, commercial buildings, institutes, so they're all light structures, heavy structures, like your infrastructure or projects or infrastructures and then industrial construction, something which is related to industries and they are called industrial construction. At the same time, we discussed what is process and project management. The line between process and project is very blurry. I cannot distinguish what is process and what is project because there's an advancement in the technology where most of the things are becoming process, but still we may have to call it as a project. Okay, but just to make you understand what is process and what is project, I'll give an example of manufacturing some cars or processed food. It's a process, whereas construction of a building or something of sort like bridges, research and development, and in space is astronomical area. They're all called as projects. And the project is very unique, which is having a starting and end point and which consumes resources out of which we get an outcome. That's called as a project. And if we apply the knowledge of the project management in the construction, that becomes a construction management. Okay, but in most of the cases, we have to understand what the project management is, and we should understand how we have to apply the knowledge of this project management. Not just the knowledge and the skills, the tools and the techniques involved in the project management. If we apply it to the construction work, that becomes a construction management. But still, I tell you, just recall that management is always an art. Management is like it's a science, it's an art, and it's a profession. As far as art is considered, so every individual has his own capacity to handle a situation. Okay, so it's all based on his technique, how he is going to handle the situation. Then, like it all, in some cases, it all depends on the person who is handling it. So that is also an issue what we need to understand because all the terms or all the experiments or whatever we do as a management, even if we put it as a literature, The same, it is not so that we may get the same result in other situations, because ultimately we deal with the people. Okay, ultimately it means it comes to whom we are handling. They are definitely, like I give you an example. You may be a good driver, uh, you have a good driving skill and all those things. The one who is coming opposite to you, okay, if he makes a mistake, still we come across an accident. Okay, and so management is the same way. How we are handling it, who is in front of us, whom we are handling it, it all depends on that also. So there is always, I should not say this, but there is always a bit of a luck, or it may be like some charismatic approach by a person where he can handle the situation. So those things will also improve in the management. But here we will be dealing with only direct managerial approaches. Then we discussed about who are the stakeholders which are involved in the construction. There are many stakeholders like owner, engineer, architect, contractor, subcontractor, the government, the financier, local authorities. There are many, and it varies from project to project. The stakeholders for the construction of a residential building will be different, and the stakeholders for construction of some infrastructural projects are going to be different. Okay, when it comes to public, like construction of highways, dams, canals, such things, infrastructure, stakeholders will be too many. You have to take accountability of each and individual. Okay, then we should look at the execution of the project. Before we start the project, we should take the concern from the stakeholders. That is one thing. That's called basically most of the organizations, as far as construction is considered, they make a record of stakeholders register. Okay, that's a necessary. Once you visit any construction industry, you ask for a stakeholders register. Like I'm not asking you like for any a local construction agencies. If it happens to visit like L&T, Gammon India, ITT Cementation, Shakur J and Govind. So such companies, basically they deal with infrastructure. Okay, they always keep a stakeholders register so that the concern with every individual is being taken into account, and then the decision about the project execution is being. Okay, that's also a government responsibility. So this is a construction team or the stakeholders involved. Just a broad view. You have a contractor, an architect, engineers, subcontractors, consultants, owners, and then we have financiers, government agencies, and public agencies. Okay. Next is a relation, a working and the contractual relation between these stakeholders. This is one typical relation between a contractual relationship between these stakeholders. The owner and the team is going to give contracts or work to engineers and contractors separately. Meanwhile, there is a relation, there is a working relationship between this, but the contractual relationship is between owner and the engineer separate, and owner and contractor is separate. But ultimately, again, they work together. They work together to achieve the goal. The second one is this type of relation where we have owner is also directly having working relationship with the contractors, and we have working relationship with the engineers. Okay, here basically this becomes generally some sort of a government projects. Like he will be the owner, and governments will have their own engineers and architects, and at the same time, government will give government will allocate the work to the contractors. Okay, this is basically how most of the government works happen, like PWD, CPWD, so and so, etc. Works. It's of this sort. The third part, what I call it as EPC, engineering, procurement, and construction type of a relation where everything is being allocated to one agency. Maybe most of the good construction companies, they take the projects under the same model. Engineering, procurement, they start starting from the scratch to the completion of the work. Everything is being done by this single-handed company. He may go for a subcontractors, but that is not an issue. But our working relationship between an owner and the third party, or the one who is dealing, is only two parties are being involved. One is owner, and the one is where he's going to deal with both in all engineering, procurement, and the construction. Okay, so there is a good communication here when we allocate when we allocate the work in such a contractual relationship. There's always a good relationship between an owner because there are no other parties involved. When there are only two people, communication will be better. Okay, when there are only two people, communication will be better. Okay, so no communication gaps. I think in that case, this works in a better model. At the same time, within the company, there will be again a better communication. In that case, what happens is, if the parties are different, then the duration of the project will be very large. If the party is the same, if he is a single person who is doing everything, then we can cut down the duration of the project. And you all know that most of the infrastructural projects, they gain revenue uh, as the time passes. So less is the project duration, more is the profit to the government. So in such cases, it's always better to go with this EPC model of construction. It's also called as a fast track construction model. Next, what does this construction project life cycle involves? We may have to understand this. What are the works which are being involved? What are the or it's also called as stages of the construction project. Okay, so construction project life cycle, it consists of project appraisal, project development, planning for the construction, tender action, then the construction, and then commissioning, and then handing over. This is one broad classification of a project life cycle. Okay, so project appraisal is something which is in the initial stage. We should take an appraisal from the government to construct this project. That's how the PWD or the CPWD works. They seek permission from the government. Okay, once they approve it, then there comes a project development. Okay, in a project appraisal, it is only in a like imagination. It will be generally in some sort of just a basic thing here in a project appraisal. Maybe some sort of like imagination model or in some sort of virtual models. When it comes to project development, they think of writing down or they think of making reports for everything. Okay, they plan it. They plan it. Basically, they may take a tool of like softwares to plan it. Okay, and then once that is also being approved, then we will go for the third one, that is planning for construction. Once the first two phases are over, then the third one is planning for construction. We have to plan it for construction. Okay, how many engineers are required? What type of engineers are required? What all machines we require? What type of human resource is required? Okay, what type of machines, like if you take an example of an excavator, there are many excavators available in the market. Okay, what type of excavator to be adopted in the market, it all depends on the soil condition. Okay, so someone should assess the soil condition. Who is going to assess the soil condition? Can anyone tell me the answer now? Which type of an engineer, which type of a civil engineer will assess the soil condition? Yes, geotechnical engineer is going to assess the soil condition. So we have to seek the consent from the geotechnical engineer so that he will assess the soil condition, and based on the soil condition, we have to procure or we have to make an arrangement for the suitable type of an excavator. ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು JCB ಅಂತ ಇರ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, JCB ಒಳಗೆ 108 JCB ಇರ್ತದೆ. JCB is not the correct word. JCB is a manufacturer's name. Okay, we have so many type of excavators with different capacities. We should assess our field conditions, then we have to adopt to that condition. Okay, there are so many excavator types are available. We have to assess the field condition and we have to go for procurement of such a machine which is going to be suitable for that particular site. Okay, that is what planning for construction is. One typical example I am giving you here. Okay, like this, there could be so many concerns for planning for the construction. So basically, civil engineers' role is being involved in planning for the construction. or the contractor will start working from planning for construction. Once we go with the planning for construction, then the government calls for tender, okay, and all the companies are going to apply the tender. And once the tendering process is over, a suitable party is being selected, maybe based on, in most cases, selection of a party is based on the amount, the rate they quote. Okay, so the lowest who is going to bid, he will be given the chance for the execution, that is construction. Once construction is being completed, then they have to handle the project to the owner, maybe government. Okay, so commissioning is starting of the project and handing over the project to the owner. So one thing to understand here is each of them have their own deliverables to reduce the complexity. See, this life cycle, whatever the six I have mentioned, this is as per the IS code. If you refer still many other textbooks, you may get some different answers. This is a broad classification of a life cycle of a project. Okay, each of them, they have their own individual complexity. If I still want to reduce my complexity, I may have to increase the number of stages in the construction. Okay, less is the number here, less is the number, more is the complexity. And again, it all comes with an experience. How to judge, what to judge, it always comes with the experience. The same thing I have just tried to put it in to show it to you in the form of a graph here. I have shown a graph, a typical project life cycle stages. I have shown it here. It's being drawn along x-axis. It's a time, and along y-axis, I have shown you the percentage of completion. Okay, and these are the different stages of the construction project. First one is project appraisal stage. This is a project appraisal stage. Okay, and what is being involved in project appraisal is inception, feasibility, strategic planning. These are the main things which are of concern during project appraisal. And as far as infrastructures, the mega projects are considered. This is generally done by the government. The incepted feasibility studies being taken. Feasibility is like whether the project is going to be profitable or not. One example, that is economical feasibility. There is another thing called environmental feasibility, sociological feasibility. There are many feasibility studies what we may have to do. Okay, so all such feasibilities are being done. Then once everything is being satisfied, then they go for the strategic planning of that particular project. So this is the first stage, project appraisal. Okay, and a very less percentage of, once I complete this first stage, it's almost around only 1 to 2% of the work is being completed here. Then next comes pre-construction stage. Anything done which is before the construction, that is the pre-construction stage. And what are being involved in pre-construction stage is project development. We go with the project development process. We plan for the construction, then we go for the tender action. Now remember again here most of the things. So up to this, that is project appraisal and pre-construction stage, this is generally done by the owner or by the government agency. When I'm talking of government projects, up to this it's being done by government agency. Okay, once this is completed up to tender action, we can say that only up to 10% of the work is completed of that particular project. Most of our effort or more, it's being with the construction. Once the tender is being allotted, then we go with the construction stage. We execute the project in the construction stage. Now, if we could look at this, it's exponentially varying here. The graph is exponentially varying. So this construction stage involves almost 85% of the work. Okay. If I want to say my construction is complete, if it is complete 100%, then 85% of this execution stage is being over. So remaining 5% is being involved in completing it and handing over to the owner. That is fourth stage. So this is how typically a project life cycle happens as far as construction projects are considered. So project appraisal, it's a pre-construction stage, construction stage, and then commissioning and handing over to the over. That means from here the start of the project happens. It is open to the public. Okay, this is one typical model. This model I have taken it again from IS 15883. This in the next sketch. This is another typical model. which indicates you how much effort is being required during construction. How much effort is required during construction in different stages. Okay, so the second graph indicates you the level of the effort required to complete the project. During initial stage, that is formulation stage, we require very less effort, and when it comes to planning and design, only architectures and structural engineers are involved. So it requires little more effort than the formulation. When it comes to execution, look at this. Okay, as far as execution is considered, you require 100% effort as and when the project is going to complete. Again, your level of effort required becomes less. When you come to close up of the project, your level of effort will be zero. So this is how your effort, being a manager and being a construction manager, this is how it is going to vary. Okay, in formulation it's very less. In planning and design, it's again a bit more than the formulation, but here it's huge as far as execution is considered. When it comes to end of the project, it's again being reduced. Okay, there's another typical flowchart what I want to show you as a project construction management phases. What are project management phases are being involved? Okay, so we come across again a project initiation phase. Once that initiation has begun from the government, then government is going to allot the project. So project planning and procurement phase is the second phase. Okay, from then we go to the project execution phase. During project execution, if something goes wrong, okay, then we should again come to here. Project control. If everything is in control, you need not worry. If there are any deviations from our planned achievements, then we have to again check our planning. This is again planning I am showing. Okay, we should again go back to planning, then again go to this construction phase, then you need to go with the close of the project. So this is a typical flowchart how construction management works. And construction management is being required from starting phase to the end phase. It's required everywhere. So if you want to be a construction manager, you should know everything. You should have a knowledge of design, you should have a knowledge of quality, you should have a knowledge of safety, you should have a knowledge of drawings, design and drawings of the construction. You should understand how laborers are working, you should understand how site engineers are working. Okay, the role of construction manager is very, very huge. Unlike a structural engineer, he sits in an office and he gives you a design. That's the role of a structural engineer is. But for construction manager, it is not so. Okay, he should work in the office and he should work on the site. Okay, see, it's not the end. He should also take an accountability on the working process. He should take an accountability on the cost also. Okay, so on the it's not like that. He should take an accountability on the cost also. Budget will be given to you. He should not go beyond the budget. If something exceeds than the budget, then he is again answerable to the company or to the government. Okay, so everything needs to be done in an ethical way and at the same time in an economical way also. So the role of construction manager is very, very, very important in the construction. Okay, this is another typical graph which shows you how cost and involvement of staffs are required at different levels of the project. During starting of the project, that is in the planning phase, you require less of a people, very less of a people who are at the top level. Okay, when it comes to organizing and preparing, we require middle level people, again less in number. But when it comes to execution, both cost and staffing is number of people working. I can say it as a number of people working. When it comes to execution, it again rises exponentially. Okay, this is about 100% of the people involved in the execution. And then when it comes to closing, again it declines. Okay, so this is how your cost and people or the staffing level which is being required in any construction project organization for a project. Then what is this construction management is about? It is about planning. It is about organizing. It is about execution. It is about completing everything in timing. It is about controlling the things. It is about making strategies. It is about making developments. It is about monitoring. It is about analyzing. It is about the process. Anything you consider that can be put in a management, and that is a project management. Basically, in this semester, you will be studying about planning. Okay, you will be given an introduction about organizing, and you will be studying about timing, that is scheduling. Okay. Rest things, it all comes with experience, or again, if you are interested in studying these things, you may have to go for higher studies in construction management. Okay. Next is like I want you people to make a list of activities which are being which may exist in a construction project. I'll give you 2 minutes time. Please make a list of activities which are involved in the construction phase, construction work. Okay. And meanwhile, also in a chat box, please give your attendance. Imagine yourself in the shoes of a construction manager or a site engineer. Then think of what activities you may have to do being a construction manager. There's a question from Kavya. Kavya, I will come to your question later. Her question is, if students are involved in project work, are they called as a stakeholders? We'll come to your question later. First, we'll discuss this. Then I will come to your question. Okay, Karthik Ganganawar, if you have made a list, please read the things, what you have written. Karthik, seems Karthik is both different then. Okay, Vishal, if you have written anything, Vishal Gaudar. Okay, type in a chat box. All our future type in a chat box. I know how to handle this situation later. If your response is so, I'll change my style of teaching. Now, those who have written anything, if at all, if you have written something, please type it in a chat box. What work we may have to do if you become a construction manager? So some Dhanraj says costing and estimating, okay, controlling the upcoming situations, right? Labor management, good. Taking safety measures, good. Organizing the work, good. Focus says time management, planning, okay, right. Instructing the workers, motivating the workers to be capable of handling the situation, evaluation, arrange the resources or materials within the budget of the client, seeing the budget is not getting high, okay, product management, safety measures, planning appropriate before execution, handling project within time, quality and quantity management, completing the work within the time, using local materials, planning the whole project within the given time, proper strategy, Oh, enough answers. Yeah, I, I feel like I have got more answers than I expected. Good. See, I require participation from your side also, or otherwise it becomes very difficult for me to handle the class for 45 minutes. Just a single person barking on one side, that becomes very difficult. Okay, the same major activities during construction phase, I have made a list. See if you have missed something. Now look at this pictorial way of the activities done by construction manager in the construction phase. He is involved in signing of the contract. The construction manager's role is there in tendering, okay, and giving the contracts. Beginning of a construction phase, he has to mobilize the resources. He has to approve the staff. Okay, resources. The mobilization of the resources is bringing all the construction materials, required materials. Okay, say equipments are required, we have to bring those equipments. Procurement, it's called as procurement. Procure the required people of the required designation. We require a construction manager, which it should not so happen that I should bring an electrical engineer to the field. Okay, so I should bring the resources with a proper, through a proper channel with the proper specialization. Then construction scheduling. We have to schedule our work, when to start, where to end. We have to schedule it. If you take an example of construction of your own building, if we schedule it, the first work is the line out or the setting out work. Once I give a line out, then comes the foundation. ನಾನು ಅದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮೊದಲೇ ಸ್ಲ್ಯಾಬ್ ವರ್ಕ್ ಅಂತ ಬರಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರುವುದಿಲ್ಲ. Okay, there is a sequence of the construction activities what needs to be followed on the field. First is a line out, then go for the excavation, then go for the bed concrete, then go for the foundation work, then go for the masonry work, isn't it? If it is a load bearing, go for the masonry, then go for the shuttering work for the reinforcement of the slab. Okay, then do the bar bending, do the reinforcement work, then go for the concreting. This is how these activities are supposed to be followed one by another. Nan foundation ಮಾಡ್ಲಾರ್ದನೆ ಸ್ಲ್ಯಾಬಿಗೆ ಕಾಂಕ್ರೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಹಾಕ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಡೆಯೋದಿಲ್ಲ. They are supposed to be done in a sequence. And that is called as scheduling. I am making a list of activities what to be done, and scheduling is basically how many days are required to complete this. Making a list of activities and mentioning how many days are required to complete this, that is called as a scheduling. So if I make this, if I have a list of all the activities, and if I have the days to complete this work, then what I can do? I will roughly get an idea of when my project is going to complete. Okay, that is scheduling. Then shop drawings, that is steel drawings. Then materials. I may have to handle the materials very carefully. Okay, I should give order to the vendors, and the vendors shall again send the materials to my site, and I'm supposed to make sure that I'm getting the materials at the lowest cost. Okay, that's a material management. Whatever I have written in the boxes here, they have their own, again, you can name them as mobilization management, staff approval management. Staff approval management is basically human resource management. Okay, construction scheduling management, planning engineer is called as. All these things can be ended with a name called management again. They have their own different identity there on the field. They do their own work. Material management, it's quality control plan. Quality engineer is always required to have a quality control and to assure the quality assurance and quality control. Then safety, it's called as safety management. With all these things, we execute the work using resources. Okay, and we have to monitor and control our work, execution of the work, because we need to make sure that our work is going as per the plan. Okay, we need to make sure that it's going as per the plan. Okay, inspect it as and when required. If this is being done, then the government is going to check your work, and he is going to approve your work. After this, again, we may have to go for testing, commissioning, and handing over of the project, and then it's an acceptance by the project or by the owner. So these are the activities broadly involved by a construction manager in the construction site. Okay, I hope you got a rough idea about what a construction manager may have to do on the field. Okay, next, what makes these construction projects very unique? See, construction projects are very unique. Unlike like a textile industry, any manufacturing industries of this PPE kits, you say, they are very different. They are very processed. But construction industry is very unique. Why? Because it's a one-time activity. Okay, owner, engineer, and contractor, they are going to be different for one-time activity. The complexity involved is very high here. It's a multidisciplinary complexity. Okay, if you take an example of a refinery works, oil refinery work, you cannot make a list of engineers involved there. We require civil engineer, we require mechanical engineer, automotive engineer, a robotic engineer, a chemical engineer, a biotech engineer. We require so many engineers in the refineries. Okay, construction of refineries is again done by a civil engineer. It's one of the construction projects. So multidisciplinary. Electrical engineers we require. We require in projects we require very different types of engineers, different types of labors. So it's too complex. It makes it multidisciplinary. And another thing is high cost and time for execution. Okay, money has a time value, and the cost involved is also very high. I think I showed you in the last class that almost around 9% of GDP is being covered through construction. So its amount involved is too huge here. Difficulty in achieving quality standards. It becomes very difficult to achieve the quality standards in some cases. Risk of failure is very high. Okay, uniqueness of people being involved, and they are being unique again. So handling them is again very difficult. Feedback mechanism is not so easy. Unlike in software industry or in some other manufacturing industry, say tested, okay, ಒಬ್ರು ಟೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, seal ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ, fine. In such process industries, but in construction, the feedback mechanism, if it is correct or not, giving back to the owner about his work is a feedback. So that mechanism is very difficult here. Lack of experience of client or the owner. Okay, client or owner, because in some cases, like if you take an example, we are going to construct a house once in our lifetime, maybe once or twice in our lifetime. Okay, so lack of experience of a client or the owner, that makes again the construction project very unique. And untrained workforce. Workforce, in most cases, they are untrained. You have to train them again to make sure that they work. Okay, so these features make the construction project very unique. And in the next class, we'll deal with this. Like we'll try to this. I think I will end up with this slide. Please go through this slide. I'll start with organization in the next class. These are the functions of the construction management. It goes for the scope management, the procurement management, time management, cost management, quality management, risk management, communication management, human resource management, safety, health and environment management, integration management, other management processes. There are many other management processes which may involve in the construction. Okay, I'll end the session here. I'll just call your names for the attendance sake. Akbar, Akshay, Hiremat, Arpita, Akshay, Dadmani, Bhavya, Dhanraj, Fairoz, Furkan, Harish, Harshita, Jai Ganesh, Jayashri, Joel, Kavya, Mahalakshmi, Meghna, Mohammad Shoaib, Niranjan, Pavitra, Pooja, Hiremat, Prasanna, Preeti, Rahul, Rajat, Sachin, Sadiq, Sagar, Saif, Sharan Vasangoda, Shivaji, Shivakumar Hirur, Shivaprasad, Shreyas, Shyam Kathare, Saundarya, Subhash, Swati, Venkatesh, Sushant, Tushar, Uday, Ummi Saleha, Vijay Kumar, Vijay Mahantesh, Vinayak, Vishal Gaudar, and Vishwanath.
Sir, Puneet sir, roll number 2 sir.
ಪುನೀತ್ ಅವಾಗಲೇ ಓಡೋಗಿತ್ತಲ್ಲ.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಸರ್, ಅದು ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಇತ್ತು ಸರ್, ಡಿಸ್ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು ಸರ್ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ.
ಓಕೆ, ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಕೇಳಿದ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೆ ನೆಟ್ವರ್ಕ್ ಇಶ್ಯೂ ಆಯ್ತಾ. ಓಕೆ, ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ಒಳಗೆ ನೀನು ನಿವೇಶನ ಹಾಕು.
ಓಕೆ ಸರ್.